morning. Okay, we are live. I think we are live. Fantastic. Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, the 9th of January. This is AI with Kyle, and I'm going to be running through the latest AI news. Well, actually, I'm not going to be doing that today. Instead, we're going to be doing something slightly different. That is me being in total autopilot. What we're going to do is cover the way to learn artificial intelligence, to learn about what AI is and how it works under the surface. I gave a webinar yesterday talking about how we can go and educate companies about how to use AI and get very well paid for doing so. I am starting my next cohort on Monday if you are interested in that. I personally charge about $2,000 an hour for going and teaching companies, so there's good money in it. But one of the questions that came up was a really good one, a really good question from somebody on the webinar saying, how do I increase my knowledge of artificial intelligence? How do I feel confident walking into a room and talking to people about AI? Really, really good question. So I've put together a quick, a little presentation with Notebook LM helping, as always, to go through how you can up your knowledge level, how you can learn about how AI actually works. Now, importantly, this is a massive proviso. You don't actually need to know how AI is working under the surface to use it. In the same way that we don't actually need to know how HTTPS and URLs work, or even what it stands for to use the internet. In the same way that we don't need to understand how an internal combustion engine works in order to drive a car. Instead, it's really interesting and helpful to know this stuff, but it is not essential. If you are going and giving workshops, if you are presenting, if you're educating other people about AI though, absolutely you want to know the basics of this stuff for sure. And even if you're not doing that, it is useful to know so that you can separate what is possible and what is not possible with AI. Because there is a huge amount of misinformation out there. And knowing a little bit about how they actually work, especially large language models, the modern type of AI that we are using nowadays, is crucial, because otherwise you won't know what to believe. So we're going to run through a few resources that I highly recommend you use to increase your knowledge level of artificial intelligence. So let's jump in. Good morning, Jesse. How are you doing? So I put together this presentation. I say I put together. Notebook LM did all the hard work. I just fed it the sources. So it's the AI Mastery Roadmap, a curated expedition from foundational concepts to frontier research. That's very artificial intelligence, very AI. It loves to use metaphors. So what we're going to do is go through these resources one at a time. I've also got a page on my website, I'll show it to you quickly, which has all of this for you. So you can go onto this page and you can access all of the videos. There's all of the links to the various resources, the books that I recommend, the structured free courses, etc., etc. It is all here on this page. The way to get this is you go to AI with Kyle. I'll make this easier to find, but you scroll down to the bottom and it's going to be in resources. So you click on AI resources and it will be in here, the Ultimate Learning Guide. Fantastic. I'll also put this below the video if you're watching this on YouTube later, so you can find it. But this is basically a roadmap of resources you can work through in order to get a really good grasp of what is going on with AI. So the first thing is going to be casually explained. So this is, let me pull it up here, casually explained the levels of AI. This looks like a fun, silly video, and it is a fun, silly video, but it is still extremely useful. The knowledge of casually explained is high, so he's able to explain this stuff using humor and using a very fun format, but it's still very, very helpful. So casually explained the levels of AI. Another one is Exerbia. All of Exerbia's stuff is fantastic, and he's done a couple on artificial intelligence in particular, and I'd recommend just anything put out by Exerbia on this topic. So these two are very fun, but they're a good way to get interested in the actual topic of AI and to start to delve into it and start to think about it a little bit more than most people out there. So these are both on the website. When you are ready to go a little bit deeper, I highly recommend the series by 3 Blue 1 Brown. So 3 Blue 1 Brown has a few. Let me pull up his actual YouTube so we can have a look, because he's got an awful lot. Now you'll come to 3 Blue 1 Brown, God, it's a tongue twisters, YouTube, and you might be overwhelmed. You might think, gosh, this looks very mathematical. It is. There's a lot of maths here. However, he's also put together a series that skip the mathematics and still teach you how neural nets and large language models actually work. The one I would recommend starting with is this one. No, sorry, that's not the one. It's the one that I've got on this website. Oh no, it is this one, Inside an LLM. He has, though, a whole explainer video, a whole explainer series, sorry, let me pull it up in playlists, called Neural Networks. So if you go into this Neural Networks playlist, there are, it looks like 9 videos in here, which are going to be really, really useful for getting an intuitive understanding of what is happening inside of a large language model. Now, these are not easy videos, but he's one of the best explainers. And if you take your time and you work through these things, 100% you'll be able to grasp intrinsically what is happening inside of these large language models. So it starts with what is a neural network, gradient descent, backpropagation intuitively, backpropagation calculus, that's number 4. You can skip that if you don't have any calculus and you'll be fine. He even says, please skip this if you are not comfortable with the maths. So to go ahead. Large language models explained briefly. This is the actual one I would recommend you start with. I'll put that on my website. So this is just a 7-minute explanation of large language models, and it covers absolutely everything. And then back into the main playlist, he has transformer architecture. And then he talks about attention, how LLMs might store facts, and then how AI image and video actually work. Fantastic playlist. It's probably an hour or 2 long in total. I recommend going through it slowly. I recommend pausing when you need to. I recommend breaking these up. I personally watch them all on a treadmill, which is a really good way to do it, because I had to stay there and watch it. I couldn't get distracted and watch something silly instead. But this is a fantastic series that if you spend a couple of hours with, is going to put you ahead of 99% of all the people out there. On this, when you are working with a YouTube video, when you're working with any kind of resource, I highly, highly, highly recommend you also use Notebook LM at the same time. So I'll show you what we can do. So this is the large language models for the curious beginner video. I can come into Notebook LM, which is a free product from Google. I can click create new notebook, and then I can select a YouTube video, and I'm plugging the YouTube video into Notebook LM. What this is able to do, because it's Google and Google also own YouTube, is it's able to pull all of the transcript and understand everything that is going on in that video. So it says the source explains large language models function as advanced mathematical tools designed to predict the next word in a sequence based on statistical probabilities. Cool, awesome. However, what we can now do with all of this is we can go to Studio and we can create a podcast, an audio overview. I'm going to click all of them. Go nuts. Oops. Let's do a briefing document, flashcards, quiz, infographic, slide deck, and data table. Oh, is that new? That might be new. They're always adding new things in here. This is now generating a whole bunch of learning resources for me. It is for this video that I've given it, not my video, but 3 brown, 1 blue. I always get it wrong. 3 blue, 1 brown. It is generating a bunch of learning resources based on that video. So we all learn differently. Some of us can watch things, some of us need to listen, some of us need to see, some of us need quizzes, interactivity, some of us need to ask questions. Notebook LM allows you to do all of this stuff. So already it started to spit things out. It's made me some flashcards, for example. So what is the fundamental function of a large language model? So I'm going to flip it and guess it's to predict the next token. Sophisticated mathematical function that predicts what word comes next for any piece of text. I'd actually question that, but that's fine. So it has now made me a set of flashcards connected to that video, so I can deepen my understanding of that video. How does a chatbot generate a response using a large language model? Let's see the answer. It repeatedly predicts the next word that a hypothetical AI system would say, adding each predicted word to the growing script, etc. You can see the power of this. It's also made me a briefing document, which is a summary of the video. Again, really, really useful. It's made me a quiz. This is a multiple choice quiz. Fundamental task a large language model is designed to perform. Okay, go ahead and do that. That's right. So you can make this interactive learning. So a lot of people criticize and accuse of AI of making us dumb. Kind of depends how you use it. I can deepen my learning and learn much more from this video by feeding it into Notebook LM and spending time actively learning. So I highly recommend, with all of the sources I'm going to be giving you, all of the sources, I'm showing you a YouTube video, but everything I'm going to show you, I recommend throwing it into Notebook LM and spending some time working with the material as well. So let's hop over to presentation. So I'd start here. Start with casually explained, start with Exerbia, and start with 3 blue, 1 brown. 3 blue, 1 brown is a lot more complex, but if you spend that time, you're going to get a huge amount of understanding about how LLMs work. Next up, Karpathy, Andrej Karpathy. Where is he? There we are. The main course, Andrej Karpathy's trilogy. So Andrej Karpathy is one of the co-creators of ChatGPT. Very, very, very smart guy. But better than that, he's a really good educator. I'm actually going to pull up his videos, which are on my website. So he's put together a number of videos where he explains large language models. Again, this is a guy who created ChatGPT. He knows what he's talking about, but he can also explain how these things work. So I would start here with, this is a 1-hour video called Intro to Large Language Models. This is a condensed version of his other videos, which we'll have a look at in a moment. There's deep dive into LLMs, large language models, 3.5 hours, not short. So break this up and go through it bit by bit, but he goes through how these things are constructed and what all the pieces are that work inside. Really, really, really good if you spend the time. And then how I use LLMs is him talking about his practical application of large language models. So anything by Andrej Karpathy is fantastic, but these would be the main 3. Let me pull them up that I recommend you spend some time with. So it's these 3 here. They've got them at the top. Intro to Large Language Models, deep dive into LLMs like ChatGPT, and how I use large language models. That is, gosh, what is that? 6.5 hours worth of video. It's going to take a while, but just work your way through. And with these, as with everything, take the video, plug it into Notebook LM, and ask questions, create quizzes, create infographics, create anything that helps you to learn as well. And if you go through these, you're in a very, very, very good position, extremely good position. Okay, so I've given you YouTube videos so far. That's because large language models are moving pretty fast, AI is moving pretty fast. So there aren't that many good books about the subject. However, sorry, that's not right. There are good books, but the books go out of date very quickly. So books on artificial intelligence tend to not age very well, because a year later, everything has changed. That said, there's a couple of books I do recommend. One is a book by Stephen Wolfram, the mathematician, called What is ChatGPT Doing and Why Does It Work? Now, this is actually available for free on his website. If you just search what is ChatGPT doing and why does it work, it is all available for you. Again, this looks very mathematical, but he goes through it step by step by step by step by step. So I know this looks terrifying, but if you follow through, you will be able to understand it. This is available all on the website, or if you prefer a physical version of the book, you can get it on Amazon. I personally have a physical version, so I can write in the margins, and it's just a bit easier to get through. The other one I recommend is by a guy called Roland Knussel. I've never actually said it out loud. Roland Knussel. How AI Works from Sorcery to Science. It's a technical book, but it's quite a thin one, and it's made for the lay audience. And he's a guy who really knows his stuff, and he's very good at demystifying and explaining. So these are the 2 books I recommend on the technology, if you prefer to read rather than use YouTube. Next up, courses. So people are always asking me, what are the best free AI courses? Free courses to learn about artificial intelligence, learn what is going on. There's basically one game in town, which is deeplearning.ai. I mean, just this one resource by itself would be more than enough to get you from an absolute beginner to mastery of the subject. I'll show you the courses he has on here, or they have on here. just hundreds and hundreds of courses, like in-depth courses. These are 10, 20-hour long courses. If you are just starting out though, you can go on the left-hand side and there is a beginner toggle, and you're going to be looking for, that's weird, these are not the beginner ones, or not that beginnery. Let's see, short course. Okay, that's unhelpful. What I'm going to show you is, there we go, beginner friendly. The one that I'm looking for is Generative AI for Everyone. There it is. It's at the top in the most popular. Generative AI for Everyone is a really good starter course. I think it's like 3 or 4 hours long, maybe. 3 hours long, introductory, one course, which is going to guide you through all of the basics of how generative AI, which is the type of AI that includes large language models, which includes ChatGPT. Going to talk about how this stuff works. But as you can see from this website, there's a huge amount here. It used to be on Coursera, but now you can do it directly through, I think you can do it directly through the Deep Learning website. Yes, you can. Very, very cool. So deeplearning.ai is a fantastic resource. The only problem with it is that there is so much there that you might not know where to start. So start with Generative AI for Everyone, and then go from there depending on what your interests happen to be. Really, really, really useful. And I think it's all free. There is a membership, but that's more for the community and certification. But otherwise, you can access everything for free, which is awesome. So Andrew is doing amazing work for the community. All right. Next up, something I did put together which I think would be useful. A lot of people think that they need to become like a coder, they need, a computer science degree, a PhD or whatever. They need to be building their own large language models, building their own AIs, understanding the architecture. That's not the case. So AI as a whole is a huge, wide-ranging subject in the same way that computers are, or the internet is. It's a general purpose technology. So when people say, I need to learn AI, we need to work out, well, what level do you actually need to get to? So I've come up with a very basic framework called the 8 levels of AI. This is not perfect, but it's a start, which is basically the 8 different levels, starting at, you've just opened up ChatGPT for the first time, all the way up to machine learning. You're a machine learning engineer who's into research, etc., etc. And it goes from first contact, effective user, power user, vibe coder, integrator, builder, advanced builder, and then research, building your own models, etc., etc. So I have gone ahead and put together this kind of guide of all the different levels, helping you to identify where you are on the levels of AI, and then also where you should be trying to get to, which is going to be different for everybody. Not everybody needs to learn how to build artificial intelligences from scratch. In fact, I would say that that is out of reach for most people, unless you already have a degree in mathematics and machine learning, etc., etc. It's probably not worth trying to get to that point, unless you want to become an engineer. For most of us, we will be very happy down at these levels, like building is level 6, integrating between different AIs, level 5, etc. You can do a lot of good work at these levels without becoming an engineer. So this is on my website as well. If you go to aiwithkyle.com, then the resource page, all the resources should be in here. There's a lot of stuff here. There we go, the 8 levels of artificial intelligence. I've also created an interactive tool which helps you work out where you are now. It asks you a bunch of questions and where you should be trying to get to based on your goals, and then it helps create a kind of a learning plan to get from one to the other, and it gives you resources that you should be looking at. So that is available on that page as well. Okay, a couple more things. I want to highlight the AI canon from A16Z for Andreessen Horowitz. So this is basically all of the foundational research, all of the foundational papers, all the foundational learning resources that you should be looking at if you want to really master artificial intelligence. A lot of people recommend this as the place to start. Do not start here. Do not start here. It's a terrible starting place. Here's the actual website itself. The AI canon, so Andreessen Horowitz. It has gentle introduction, so Andrej Karpathy, This is Stephen Wolfram, I just mentioned it. Dale Markowitz, Stable Diffusion work, Chris McCormick, etc. It has these papers, and then the foundational learnings, which includes courses, lectures, YouTube videos. They have the Stanford machine learning course. They have deep dive explainers into certain technologies like transformers, etc. It is all here. This is not a good starting point because it's quite heavy. It's a huge reading list. Somebody's actually made an Airtable of it, which is very useful. So if you want, you can work your way through all of this. I would say if you can work your way through all of this using Notebook LM, for example, you are going to be like near to mastery level at that point. This is deep diving for sure. So I've included this on my website. What I'm actually going to do is create a nice user-friendly version of the AI Canon. It's not ready yet, but I'll make it over the weekend, where you can access all of this material, and it will tell you kind of what level it is, how much time it takes, if it's a course, if it's an article, etc., etc. And I think I'll hook it up directly to things like Notebook LM, so you can, in one click, generate everything you need. So I'm going to flesh that out to make it more accessible, because it's a really, really useful resource. It's just, I mean, look at it. It is impenetrable, and I don't blame you if you come to this page and you're like, wow, this looks useful. I'm never ever going to do this. So I'm going to try and make it a bit easier for you guys. It's a new project. It'll be fun. And then final thing, AI is moving really fast. You've probably noticed this. Like, I do a live show every day, and there's still a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff happening, and I feel that I'm falling behind all the time. So if you feel you're falling behind, don't worry. There is a huge amount of information. The key is to separate the signal from the noise. There is a lot of noise, there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of overhype, there's a lot of trash out there. Whenever you see on Twitter somebody with the red siren or a fire emoji or whatever, you can probably ignore it because it is hype, it is nonsense. So what you need to do is you need to find a handful of sources that you trust. People who don't talk nonsense. People who are not AI doomers, but they're also not, oh gosh, AI is going to improve everything and the world's going to be a better place. They kind of fall in the middle. And there's a handful of people. I like to include myself here. So AI with Kyle is, I hope, a useful resource for you guys, and the YouTube channel as well. But I also want to flag up Ethan Mollick. So Ethan Mollick has a Substack, and he writes on Twitter and LinkedIn in particular, and his Substack is called One Useful Thing. Really, really, really good. A very high level of signal to noise. The next person that I wanted to flag up is Nate B. Jones. So Nate is on TikTok, like me. Let's put him up. You'll probably know him. You'll recognize him even if you don't know the name, from the hat and the glasses and the beard. Basically anything that Nate says is incredibly sensible, and he is well worth listening to on what is happening in the news. He's kind of my go-to for the sensible, well-informed take. Nate B. Jones also has a Substack. Let's go over to it. There we go. So Nate B. Jones, his Substack. It's a paid Substack, but well worth it, because again, you're getting a very high level of signal to noise. So those are two of the guys I really rate. There's also a guy who's not there, but SimonWillison.net, who runs a blog, this very old-fashioned looking blog. I think it's built on Blogger, maybe. Who again is just somebody who's active in the space, who is absolutely no nonsense. So those are really good resources. For news, I would go to the Rundown AI. Has breaking news, and that's run by Rowan Chung. And also, I mean, I'm a bit biased here, but AIwithKyle.com, we have the news show every single day, as well as the newsletter, which gives you a written summary. So if I jump in and show you one of them, maybe something like this. When it loads, you get the video at the top, edited, and then the summary of the news for the day. And I try to keep it fairly light, and also no BS. So a lot of the newsletters, a lot of the people covering the news, well, they're sponsored by companies. I don't really do that. And they won't call out BS when they see it. And I'm very happy to do so. whoever it is, ChatGPT, if it's Google, if it's Claude, if it's Anthropic, it doesn't really matter. I will call out BS when I see it. And I think we need more people who will do that. So, quick summary. Start with some videos that I've shown you at the top. Where are they? Here we go. These are just fun ones. We've got Casually Explained, we've got Exerbia, really good introductions to artificial intelligence and thinking about AI, followed by 3 Blue, 1 Brown, his whole series on large language models. Really, really, really useful stuff. There is some mathematics involved, but he gives you an intuitive idea about them. Then there's going to be the Karpathy trilogy, which is going to be Intro to Large Language Models and the rest of those videos. That's probably around 5 or 6 hours of content, so take your time, work with Notebook LM so you actually understand what's going on, and once you've watched all of that, you're going to know more than 99% of people easily. And then a couple of books. We looked at What is ChatGPT Doing? And How Does It Work by Wolfram. You can get that for free, or you can get it on Amazon. And How AI Works by Roland Newsell. And then for structured courses, nothing is better than deeplearning.ai. Go on there, do the Generative AI for Everyone course. You could be in a good position. And then AI Canon from Andreessen Horowitz, really complicated looking page, but fantastic resource. I'm going to build a more user-friendly version, so check for that on my website shortly. And then for staying current, you need a high signal to noise ratio, and I recommend Nate B. Jones on TikTok and Substack, Ethan Mollick, who's on Twitter, LinkedIn, and again has a Substack, and the Rundown AI. I also recommend, again, because I'm biased to my stuff, so AI with Kyle, my newsletter, is a no BS guide to what the hell is going on in artificial intelligence. And I've got a YouTube channel, which I think has just passed 12,500 subscribers. So thank you guys for that. We're growing every single day. Awesome. I'm gonna switch over to some questions now. But thank you for coming to my TED Talk, and hopefully that's been useful. I will put all of this on the website. I'm going to update this page, so the Ultimate AI Learning Resource List. I'll update this with everything that we've just discussed today, and the new version of the AI Canon, which I'll probably create today or tomorrow as well. Just making sure that you have all the information that you need to make AI accessible. Jojo says, very informative, thank you. Great, I'm really happy about that. There wasn't much news today, so I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll do a quick guide to getting started with AI, because there's so much information out there. So I wanted to cut through a lot of that. You mentioned in a previous live that the best way to get started teaching is to do a freebie first. Yeah, so you say, how do you reach out? So best way to do it, I highly recommend finding a charity or non-profit and reaching out to them and saying, hey, I'm doing workshops on artificial intelligence. I'm doing workshops, let me just pull this up. I'm doing workshops teaching you how to use AI. Go and do it with a charity or non-profit first and foremost, because that allows you to get practice, to build up confidence, to cover the material for the first time, but it also allows you to do it for a good cause. I don't recommend doing free workshops for businesses. The reason is it's very easy to fall into a trap and to start to devalue your time. So I've seen this happen with my students before, where they start giving free workshops to get the practice, to build up confidence. Cool, very cool. However, then they kept giving free workshops. And the more free workshops they gave, the increasingly they were devaluing their time, because suddenly, even subconsciously in your head, you're given all these free workshops. When it comes to asking for $1,000, $2,000 for the workshop, that's really hard because you've been giving free workshops all of this time. So the way we bypass this is we give free workshops, but we give them to charity. So we say to the charity, hey, normally this would be $2,000. I'm going to do it for you for free because you're a charity. That cool? So in our head, psychologically, it is still $2,000 for a workshop, but we are discounting it. We are taking that from 2,000 down to 0 because it's a charity. I think that's really important. So start there with charities and nonprofits if you want to give free workshops. So just scrolling through some questions. How long have you been in the AI space? About 3 years. about since the beginning of, when ChatGPT, the big public release, which was November, when was it? November 2022? Yeah, November 2022. Recently, OpenAI sent me a hoodie and a hat and a cake to celebrate the third birthday of ChatGPT, which was awesome. So about that time, at that time I was running a digital marketing agency, and I remember when that big first public release of ChatGPT came out. I'm sure lots of people do, and having that kind of ChatGPT moment of whoa, okay, this is new. And even then thinking, it's not great, but it will be. I can see how this is going to be a big problem to my business. So 3 years ago, realizing, this is going to disrupt the industry I'm in. This is going to demolish my business. It's already good and it's going to get better. I need to learn as much as I humanly can about this topic. So over the last few years, I've written all these playbooks. They're on my website here. These are all free. There are about 100 of these. Each one is between 5 and 10,000 words. So that's how I learn personally, is I learn and write. So that was my process of trying to get up to speed very, very, very quickly. I always love your content and have even bought your playbook. It's been a massive game changer. Thank you, John. Yeah, it's been a wild ride over the last few years. I think the exciting thing about AI, or modern AI, is that we are all working it out as we go along. So even, I mention this quite a lot, but even Andrej Karpathy, let me pull it up. Even he posted a couple of days ago or a few weeks ago about even he feels behind. I'm not sure if I'll be able to find it. Somewhere around here. Here we go. I've never felt this much behind as a programmer. The profession is being dramatically refactored as the bits contributed by the programmers are increasingly sparse and in between. I have a sense that I could be 10 times more powerful if I just properly string together what's become available. So this is a guy who co-created ChatGPT. He's at the top of his game. He knows this stuff. And even he feels like, what is going on? So everybody's in learning mode. He says here, clearly some powerful alien tool was handed around, except it comes with no manual and everyone has to figure out how to hold it and operate it. Yeah. So even somebody who's at the forefront of this is learning and feeling overwhelmed and working it out as they go along, which is genuinely a really exciting place for us all to be. It means that the experts and the hierarchy hasn't yet been set, and it means you can go and make your mark in this new industry, in this new world, just by engaging and I think importantly helping other people as well. If you are watching this live right now, if you are watching this on YouTube, social media, wherever you're watching this right now, that means you're in the 1% of people who are actively engaging with this stuff. The rest of the world is not. They do not care. And it's kind of up to us to help them get on board, to help them work out what they should use AI for, to help them work out what they shouldn't use AI for. And that's important, and how to tell the difference between the two as well. It's kind of up to us to, as people who have engaged this technology, assist those who are coming behind us, which is exciting and an opportunity, but I also think a duty to a certain extent. Yeah, even in the best case scenario of AGI, it's going to be detrimental in the short term for most people. Yes, 100%. So even if we do reach a utopia, 50 years from now, where we have universal basic income and everything's dealt with and robots are doing all our hard work and we are focused on making art, etc., the next few decades are going to be messy, because that transition period when we move to utopia, if we're going in that direction, we don't even know that, regardless of where we're going, there's gonna be mess in the future. If you look at industries that have been disrupted, like coal mining in the UK, for example, yeah, sure, these communities were able to transition to other industries, people were able to retrain, but that isn't helpful in the meantime whilst you're being disrupted, because for 10, 20, 30 years, stuff is chaos, absolute chaos. So people saying, oh, well, don't worry, it's going to be fine, because in 50 years, it's going to be utopia. For you as a person who's losing your job right now, for you as a person whose degree and training and all of the things you've been working for decades, for that to be pulled away from you, you don't care what it's going to be like in 50 years' time. You're caring about what it's going to be like for the next decade, next 20, 30 years, because that's your human life. So even the most utopian visions of what AI is going to bring should take this into account, that there's going to be a messy middle. There is going to be a period where people are going to get damaged and hurt, and lives are going to be ruined by this technology, and we cannot ignore that. Instead, we need to bring as many people along on the ride as we can. This is why one of my missions is to get people AI ready. Oh, you can see it on my website here, get AI ready. I'd like to get 1 million people AI ready, so helping them learn what this technology is, what it can do, what it can't do, and how they can start to use it in their daily life, rather than ignoring it, being fearful of it, instead showing them what they can use it for, and hopefully getting them on board and getting them into a position that the disruptions will be less harmful. That's my goal, at least. Okay, I'm gonna hop off this live. I don't see any other questions. I'm going to hop off and go and see some sun. Let me spin it around so you can see. There we go, nice and sunny today. I think I've just reset my camera, unfortunately. So I'm going to go and enjoy some sun and enjoy the weekend. So thank you, everybody, for hopping onto the live. I will see you on Monday around the same time. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, guys.